What's going on, guys? It's Luke here, and welcome back to another episode of the Bohemian Grove podcast. As you can see, I am still on the run. We are still out here in the woods. Dax, unfortunately, since our last recording, has been detained by the glowies, and negotiations to get him back have not been going too hot. Hopefully we'll see him again soon, because we have a lot of truths about the deep state that we're going to expose, a lot of things that we're going to be putting to the test, and I'll be getting to that later. Now, before I begin, yeah, this is my first solo, so there's going to be a lot of jump cuts to keep things interesting. And my more astute viewers will notice that this is shot in anamorphic, so what's usually a 16:9 image that just fully fits your frame is now at a 1.33 stretch, so it's going to be similar to a 2.35 to 1. So there's going to be some bars up and down there, so maybe I'll have some scrolling captions to make things interesting. But I got a new lens, came in on a slow boat from China. It is a 75mm f1.8 anamorphic lens. Got it for a great deal, only $550, which if you know anything about anamorphic lenses, you know that I basically just went over to China and stole it from them. But regardless, let's kick this thing off. So a couple addendums, or a couple changes that I'd like to make. There have been some updates since our last video. Winston and I talked about BIPPLEYIPSNIPP, right? Mr. Baltimore jickalang to the doogie. I said, I'm out of this boogie. I thought a bottle whim. That's enough of that. So, since we've made that video, his song, the Baltimore anthem, the City Girls Actapulagoots remix, has since been stripped of its core components. So what I believe happened after doing some research to BIPPLEYIPSNIPP on his YouTube channel was he became eligible for monetization, right? And obviously, if he's on YouTube posting rap videos, he's chasing a bag. That's essentially what it is. And because he used a copyrighted instrumental from the original City Girls song and he rapped over it, the YouTube algorithm picked him up for that. So he's then replaced that video with this tangent kind of that he kept in the end, but he's since deleted the actual song from the video. And he basically just talks for a little while, and in his own language, jickalang, obviously, he's a native speaker. But the only words that can be made out in this new video are fallopian tubes. That's all I got to say about that. BIPPLEYIPSNIPP has since removed the Baltimore anthem as he's tagged, and he's moved it over to a DistroKid YouTube channel. So he's now paying the algorithms and the bots to post his videos for him. But his main channel is monetized now, so congrats BIPPLEYIPSNIPP. You now have an additional stream of revenue in addition to being the hood barber and selling Amazon ebooks. So congratulations, Duggets. I'm wishing the best for you. That's basically it. In other news, Winston and I talked about this weird niche of the internet where Russian accounts were deepfaking Mr. Beast onto videos that were seemingly completely innocuous and were taken from God knows where. They were really strange videos with not a lot of substance, but they were putting Mr. Beast's face onto them. And since then, we have noticed a shift in their rhetoric. So they're still promoting a gambling site, which is obvious, right? That was their primary currency driver. However, as of late, there was a period where we stopped getting them, and most of the large deepfake accounts were most likely taken down. I can't find them anymore. But after a resurgence, we've noticed that in addition to having a gambling banner and a Russian promotion code in the top left corner, they will oftentimes promote a VPN of a similar name in the adjacent corner, which obviously anyone who's been online before knows that a VPN is really good for digital anonymity and masking your steps, so to speak, because all of your traffic goes through a proxy, gets encrypted, and then it gets sent to the host domain. So they think that you're accessing their website from a server as opposed to you behind a computer just talking directly to the host website. And it goes without saying that any website that is relying on the image of an established celebrity without their consent to drive business to them, as well as is promoting an anonymizer for their website, is probably up to some really shady shit. So if you are into that Russian gambling website, just know that they have a relatively cheap VPN service that will hopefully encrypt your footsteps. But I think if the Kremlin or the KGB ever finds out about them, they're probably going to backdoor their way into that like China did with WeChat and it's probably going to become either some sort of foreign espionage, like if a United States user were to ever use that VPN service or website, or it's going to be a way to monitor and track the public. But yeah, Mr. Beast deepfakes, the rabbit hole goes even deeper. I've been wanting to say that for a while, but I've been too lazy to make one of these. Yeah, Russian gambling. That's all I can even say about that. And then my third and final addendum that I wanted to make here, the third and final thing that I really wanted to talk about before getting into some of the other stuff I had written down, is maybe I went a little too hard on those gang stalking victims. Maybe I was a little too dismissive. Winston, if you're watching this, you were right. I'm really good at invalidating them. Because it only occurred to me after watching a video by Virtual Carbon, incredible YouTuber, by the way, really well-made content. Please check him out. Really, really interesting content, really informative, really well done. It occurred to me after watching his videos that I might have been the victim of some of these tactics that were commonly used by the glowies, such as the Brighton tactic. You know, there was one video that we talked about where a car was parked horizontally in a parking lot aimed at the suspected TI, and he called that video Brighton tactic. Now, the Brighton tactic is essentially using any form of light to highlight the target so as to make them easier to spot for other agents. And I can understand that. I've had a few similar instances in my life where cars or random streetlights have done that. Like when I've walked under streetlights, they've kind of turned on over me. And a lot of people would be very quick to say motion detectors. They didn't seem the part. But that's not even what I'm here to talk about today. I was having a dream, because I'm back in a remote location. I had a dream that kind of evoked a lot of childhood memories. When I was moving house in 4th grade, every time I would go to my elementary school, there was one blue van that I would see everywhere. And I had originally thought that one of my friends named Alex, her father had owned that van. But then after talking to her, I had realized that that's not true. So this van that I had originally thought everywhere, because my friend and I, who lived close to each other, would obviously have the same commute to and from our elementary school. That was no longer the case. So every time I kept seeing it, I kept noticing where it parked, and it would always stop and park behind us. So that would happen a lot, and I would see that van a lot. And then the weirder thing that happened, which kind of evoked my memory of it within my dream, was I had a dream where I was in 5th grade. This was after I'd forgotten about all that, and we were moving houses, which did happen in the 5th grade. And while I was checking out a house that was pretty far away from where I live currently, that van was in the parking lot right across the street. It was in someone's driveway right across the street from that house. And my mom and dad were friends with the realtor, so they cordially went in and they said hello. But I stood by and I looked at that van because I recognized that van, and I recognized the license plate because it had a custom license plate that made it really easily identifiable, as well as being bright blue. And upon seeing that van, someone in that van saw me, and then that van drove off. And being so little, I didn't think anything of it. But I still recognized that van, and coming back to this remote location, I saw that van again. I hadn't seen this van in years. But I had a dream about said van, and then 2 days after that, I saw said van. Now, a lot of you guys would probably say, yeah, this person probably just lives here. But I'm thinking that this is probably V2K or Voice to Skull tampering with me, as well as an event that could probably be seen as circumstantial or coincidental. But I don't think it is. I hadn't thought of that van in almost a decade. I would have been 10 or 11 the last time I saw that van. And as of today, being 20, I saw that van again after having a dream about said van and watching a video that same night on gang stalking. You cannot tell me that those events are not linked together in some fashion. I'll post future updates on that. I'm still here for another week. And then I'm going to have to find another spot, obviously. The distance cull-based rendering is not doing a whole lot in terms of keeping me away from the glow chuds. They opened a new FEMA camp just across the road from me and where I'm staying. But yeah, that's about that. Updates on future gang stalking stuff will come later. Living in LA County and trying to blend into the masses there, you notice a lot of glow chuds, gang stalkers, glow dogs like I had seen here. But they take different forms that I'm not used to yet. Where I'm from, you usually see them as Caucasian hippie mothers in their early 50s. They have a lot of flowers on their clothes. They drink a lot of wine during the day, sometimes in public. But yeah, those are mostly them. I always notice them looking at me and following me. But anyway, we'll get on with that. Big news, personal life. I got my driver's license. I know I'm 20 years old. I'm a little bit late to the party here. But I have a story to tell about that. DMV, count your fucking days. That's all I can really tell you. So, one, all of their appointments are in the morning, and I'm a night owl. That I can look over. I can look over that. It's whatever. I don't really care, because obviously this is something that has to get done. So on January the 8th, I go in, I wake up really early, I slam my favorite rock star, go in, and I'm ready for this. I'm psyched up. I'm prepared. I've been driving for a long time, safe driver, good stuff. So I get in there, really sassy lady at the front, keeps on drilling me on these questions. I keep answering her questions, and she keeps asking me the same question, but worded slightly different. And it's really getting under my skin. Like, oh, do you have this? Do you have this? Yes, I hand it to her. She hands it back to me. And she says, oh, do you have this? Yeah, this is actually what I gave you before. I didn't give you the wrong thing like you said. I gave you the right thing. And then you didn't look at it, and then you handed it back to me. That's whatever. Really annoying, but whatever. I then pull up to the window. Window 8. This is where things go south. There's a lady there. Her name is Nicole. She's helping these two young Hispanic gentlemen who don't speak a lick of English, and she doesn't speak a lick of Spanish. So I, being a nice dude, I speak the little bit of Spanish I know, and I try and help them. And it takes me about 20 minutes. And I get my real ID, or I get them their real ID, because I help them out with all that, blah, blah, blah. Tell them to give the right paperwork, this and this and that. Now I'm at window 8, and I've helped this lady, so I think that she's in good spirits. So I tell her, I'm here for a behind-the-wheel test. And she says, okay, can I see your paperwork? And she's happy, she's in good spirits. And that's all well and good. Me, after having dealt with this other lady and her bullshit, after having waited in a 20-minute line, the DMV is confusing as all fuck, I hate that place. I'm ready. I'm pumped up, I'm exhilarated, I'm fucking tweaked off caffeine. I'm in my element. This is like high school all over again. I just need to lock in. That's just it. So then after that, the lady comes back to me and says, yeah, I'm sorry, we're not gonna be able to give you a test today. 2 of our examiners are out with COVID right now. And I say, oh, well, fuck. And she says, yeah, we're really backed up, and we're only doing their appointment from 9 a.m. right now. So can I reschedule you for another day? And I'm like, oh, well, shit. All right, well, I guess I got no other choice. So then they tell me our earliest date is January 11th. And I'm like, okay, that's only 3 days, so I can come back. And I was like, okay, but this time doesn't really work for my family. And she said, all right, well, our next appointment after that is January 26th. And I'm like, fuck. Well, I'm going to have to go back to LA. I'm going to have to go back to college, trying to re-assimilate with industrial society. Life's biggest challenge. And then after that, she says, okay, so we're going to get you for January 11th at 11:40, and I'm locked in. I'm set. I'm like, okay, fuck, well, I couldn't take my test. And then she comes back to me after making that appointment, and then she tells me that instead of the drivers having COVID, she tries to tell me, hey, you actually made the wrong kind of appointment. You made a renewal appointment to, if you already had one, to renew said license. So we're going to need you to create the right kind of appointment and stay here for even longer. Because I had you just move your appointment on our system, and then I show her. I bring up my slip, my paper, and my phone and my email confirmation, indeed saying that, no, this is not true. You're trying to gaslight me. And I show her that, and then she just freezes. She turns around, she walks away, and she says, okay, when you get here, just ignore the line, come to this window, I'll be working, and then we'll get you your test, all right? And I say, okay. And so obviously by that time, I'm really, really confused, because 2 drivers having COVID and being sick, that's understandable, and I can understand that, yeah, they wouldn't be there because they don't want to get anyone sick. But then her switching up her story really, really threw me through a loop. Because she had a viable story, and then she tries to turn it around on me and blame me, even though I had 3 different forms of proof that I was not bullshitting. I had the correct appointment, I was there at the correct time, I was locked in, I had all the necessary papers, and then she goes and does that. Like what the fuck is up with that? But yeah, so the DMV, I'm not gonna say count your days. I'm gonna say that you'll be receiving an encrypted envelope, and when you decrypt that, there will be a certain day on the Gregorian calendar that you're gonna want to circle with big red ink, and just count down until you get there. That's all I can even say. I'm not gonna say count your days. Just count down until you crack the code and you discover what day you should be counting to. That's really it. All right, so here's another one. Here's a funny one. My group of friends and I, obviously, we talked about maxing, minning, all that fun stuff. You know, our little lingo that we use, our kind of like deep internet culture lingo that we have come to know and love. One that's gone around recently is the whole looksmaxxing thing. And you know, at first it was really funny to hear my classmates talk about like mewing and like, you know, putting your tongue on the roof of your mouth to give yourself a better side profile. But then I kind of realized that, like everything, once it hits the mainstream, it's fucking over. It's over for looksmaxxers. That's all I can even say. When everyone was telling me that they needed to mew, and then told me that mewing was putting the tongue on the roof of your mouth, I immediately knew it was over for that. No one knew what mewing truly was, as well as when I started telling people about jelking, no one knew what jelking was. Those 3 things that I mentioned are the triad of the looksmaxxers, all right? And when you can look me dead in the eyes, tells me that you're a looksmaxxers, you're a Mewmax jelk cell, and then not be able to tell me what jelking is. For the love of God, I knew it was over. And so it started off with one of my friends from one of my classes telling me, oh yeah, dude, do you mew? I mew, and then he showed me he had a little set of beads that he mewed with, and I was like, okay, that's pretty funny, he's committing to the bit. Fast forward 1 week, everyone's talking about mewing, everyone is like talking about sigma and looksmax edits and jaw lines and canthal tilts, and I just knew it was over. I knew it was over because I asked all those people, hey, you know what jelking is? And all of them gave me the fluoride stare. So I knew it was over for looksmax. And then a bunch of culture vultures on Instagram have gotten into it, like Looksmaxxers University. And they just appropriate the word mogging so poorly. It's just incredible to me how people will just buy into this, and then they'll pay him for like whatever he sells on his website, like really expensive fake mewing kits or like mogging tutorials for like walking around in public. For the uninitiated, mogging is one-upping someone looks-wise purely by existing in their vicinity. Like if you're right next to someone and you're like taller and you have a better jawline, you know, and they're like talking to a woman and you walk up next to them, and then the woman like looks at you, you mogged them. And people just use that to to denote really anything. Like they'll just say you got mogged to anything. And then same with that, they'll just be like, yeah, I love mewing, dude. I love mewing so much. It's just over for looksmaxxers. That's it. It was a really funny joke while it lasted. Joe and Winston and I, we had a whole episode lined up surrounding jelking, but given that this has become so mainstream and that my target here is to reach like a strange niche of people who will only laugh at really obscure things like all of us, I don't even know if I can talk about jelking. Granted, no one knew what it was, but the fact that it would get tied in with normal looksmaxxing really makes me want to just avoid the subject. Because looksmaxxing, I know it's become recent, like it's become big recently. Winston, Joe, and I, we've been talking about looksmaxxing for months. Since at least August of last year. Like, the term mog has been in our dictionary for at least a year. And seeing it go big with Patrick Bateman, Sigma, Freddy Fazbear, Fonk edits, and mewing and all that, it's just such a fucking shame. It's just such a shame to see how far downhill it's gone and how like unfunny and oversaturated it's gone. I really hate that. Oh yeah, okay. Here's a funny one that I really wanted to talk about. Viewers, here's what I would look like if I was black and Chinese. Hopefully I wasn't too lazy and I actually did something with that in post. But so that infamous Twitter account, at VLONEPREDATOR, or Pilgrim, if you will, got doxed the other day. So for those of you who don't know, VLONEPREDATOR on Twitter was an account that would just go to random people who post pictures of themselves and then would Photoshop them and say, here's what you would look like if you were black or Chinese, and then would like quote retweet them with that. And then he gained so much infamy for just doing it to like e-girls, randoms, YouTubers. And then like 3 days ago, he got doxed and he got his home address fucking leaked on the internet, and his face was posted too. And he did the best thing he possibly could have to avoid making this even bigger. He posted his face reveal, but black and Chinese. He did it to himself, showing that he is above no one. He is greater than no man. He made himself black and Chinese, just like he did to countless other people, committed to the bit, and he's back on top. He survived getting doxed, which is a fucking beautiful thing, to have a picture of your house on the front page of the internet and be top row trending on Twitter, and then commit to the bit so hard. It's just so fucking beautiful. Like, if I got doxed, I don't know what I would do. I would probably just lash out and call them like glowies and gangstalkers. But the fact that he committed to it so calmly and has completely survived getting doxed and has come out on top of the public, it's just such a beautiful thing. So here's another thing that happened recently. Really minor life event, but I get all my music on SoundCloud, right? I know, there's a whole stigma about, are you a SoundCloud rapper? Or like, do you only listen to video game music? And I'll be real with you. 9 years ago, when I made my SoundCloud account, I posted hella Geometry Dash tracks on SoundCloud, and they blew up. There are multiple that I have on my profile with like hundreds of thousands of plays, or like 50,000 plays on a lot of them actually. And a lot of them got taken down by the copyright system once they got, once that improved. But yeah, I'm an OG SoundCloud user, and I know there's that stigma. But recently, I bought SoundCloud Go, not for the offline listening, but to get rid of the ads. Mostly because there was this one that really, really freaked me out. And now I'm used to getting like ads for really everything. Useless shit that I'll never need, right? I got a lot of Spanish Xfinity ads, Cascade Platinum dishwashing detergent ads. But then there was this one for this laundry stuff. Gain Flings, that's what it was. And the commercial was seemingly innocuous. It was this guy on the bus, and you can hear him smelling, sniffing, and all that. And he says, "Man, what was that smell? I knew immediately after I had smelled that smell that it was the most delicious smell." And then he describes himself following that scent, like tracking it down like a bloodhound to another woman on the bus. And he recounts in detail walking up to this woman and smelling her. This is for an ad, mind you. So then he smells that woman and he says, "Hey, what's that smell?" And the woman just says, "Oh, it's Gain Flings." And then the man just in detail recounts like, "I knew when I had smelled that smell, it was the love of my life." And this commercial, it seems really innocuous when you first hear it, but then you realize this is fucking horrifying. If you were a chick or a dude on a bus and a middle-aged man started smelling and sniffing in the air like a dog, and then walked over to you and went, "Oh," and then asked you what that smell was, you would be fucking horrified. And granted, I was on SoundCloud, I was on the free version, and they don't charge too much, so they will jam-pack your shit with ads if you're on the free version. So every 6 or so minutes, I would get a back-to-back ad, and sometimes it would be that same exact Gain Flings stalking ad, and I was just sick of it. I couldn't deal with it anymore, so after 9 years of being on that app and just dealing with it, this creepy fucking ad just really pushed me over the edge, and now I'm paying $5 a month for it, which I never thought I would do because I fucking hate monthly subscriptions. I genuinely do. But yeah, I can deal with the Spanish Xfinity ads. I can deal with all the Instacart bullshit. I can deal with the Cascade Platinum ads and how it gets rid of 99.9% of all grease and stains. But the Gain Flings ad, and that's not even the only one. There are a few other ones that were earlier where they would describe like following people on the street. Basically the same thing, but this one was in a bus. They would describe just following people and smelling them and how good it smelled. But it would ultimately culminate in the protagonist stalking down someone and asking them, "What's that smell?" Which is just really horrific. I hope to God that that is not a video ad anywhere, because if that played on public television, that would be fucking horrifying. That's really it. That's all I got to say about SoundCloud Go. And then, okay. We're back on the topic of stalking now. Hopefully this doesn't pick up on my microphone. There is a large onset of noise behind me, industrial noise. This is another thing I learned in that gang stalking video, noise campaigns as they call it. Just loud spouts of noise that are designed to irritate the TI. It's incredible because everything behind me is protected wilderness. It is all state protected. This is a public national park that I'm in, and there should not, for any sort of reason, be sort of industrial noise going on over there. There are not allowed to be any sort of non-government related buildings or National Park Service related buildings on this land. And it is incredible how at 2 p.m. on a Monday, on a national holiday, there is industrial noise going on there. I think that I've always been the victim of noise campaigns because for as long as I can remember, I've been a night owl, and there have always been some sort of industrial noise, some sort of jackhammering or sawing, or some sort of loud noise designed to fuck with me personally. It's just incredible. You all right? Good luck out there. That's incredible. The moment that I begin to talk about gang stalking, noise campaigns, the fact that they're following me, targeting me personally, a man on his mountain bike rides right by, falls into the river right next to me, just off camera. That's so unfortunate that that wasn't captured. It's incredible. And then an army of 6 children, led by their one mother and a couple of dogs, walk right by there, and they all start looking at me. They stop and start looking at me. That's incredible. They know that I'm onto them. This is why I've been on the run for so long. These noise campaigns need to end. I'm so tired of them trying to ruin my sleep, especially with loud upstairs neighbors. That's another one, and I'm onto you. I know that there are gang stalkers above me. But regardless, you can go as far as you want into the woods, just like me, and you will still have cyclists falling into rivers next to you that are onto you. It's just fucking incredible. That's gonna do it for me today. I'm packing my shit up. I need to get out of here because clearly I've been compromised. That's all. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this solo episode was content enough. I've been trying really hard to write down interesting things to say, but I just hope that it was entertaining enough as a solo. Hope you guys enjoyed me in the background of the river. I like doing these outside. It's a lot more fun than being in my room. But anyway, that'll do it for me. Good night, guys.